Hello, reader. This is Suyana Cole reading you chapter 22, entitled A Confession from the All-Inclusive Approach, The Art of Divine Remembrance. At this stage in our journey, I must point out that unconditional love and acceptance, for me, like for many of us, exists on a spectrum. It seems that as soon as I have fully embodied love and acceptance for who I am in this moment, another layer of self reveals itself, asking me to repeat the process all over again. And so the cycle continues. This means I have not yet fully stepped into unconditional love and acceptance of self 24/7. I wish I could say that I have, but it just isn't true. Not because I have parts of myself still yearning to be seen and accepted. I believe that will always be the case as long as I live. The reason I know I'm still reaching for unconditional love and acceptance is that I continue to doubt the process. I have my good days, days full of faith, trust, and open-heartedness. Then I have my bad days, days where I feel like I'm failing, when everything seems to be taking too long, and when I feel inherently wrong in how I exist in the world, that I'm missing something. On these days, the should-haves and could-haves dominate my mind. And of course, I have my in-between days, days that start one way and then change course after an unexpected event, good or bad, revealing to me that I'm still not fully grounded in my own energy. I can still be influenced by the environments and happenings around me. I don't see it as a good or bad thing. It's just the way that it is. This tendency wouldn't automatically suggest conditional love, except it is often accompanied by doubts, fears, and judgments about myself for not being more grounded. At times, I forget to love those parts too. I neglect to love the parts of me that condemn other aspects of myself for existing. I forget to love the catalysts that remind me of these aspects of my humanness. These traits, these less celebrated parts of me, yearn for a witness who can love and appreciate their existence just as much as the admired heroine and beloved characters in the play called Me. These are the days when the hard-to-embrace parts of myself step into the light. In these moments, Source offers me the opportunity to embrace all of myself, or to fall back into the old paradigm of rejection, judgment, negotiation, and disassociation. The top one for me being disassociation. Frequently, I choose grace and love. Occasionally, I revert to judgment, distraction, and conflict. And then I find myself back at the beginning, learning to embrace all that I am once again. I know the system and embrace the process. No matter where I fall on the spectrum of self-appreciation and realization on any given day, there is always a thread of truth pulling me back towards love and acceptance. That truth is this: everything is here to help me. Source presents me with the opportunity in each moment to remember the perfection of all things and embrace it in every form. Many of us desire so deeply to move beyond this back and forth phase of evolution that we struggle to appreciate its value. We see, feel, and trust alignment, flow, and well-being when they are present. But when doubt, fear, shame, confusion, boredom, or judgment arise, we can spiral into our most limiting beliefs about ourselves and about the world. We assume that the presence of these emotions dictate disconnection from our soul. We may believe that only when we are experiencing positive emotions, thinking uplifting thoughts, expressing our gifts purposefully in the world, or speaking with an angelic tongue, that we are embodying our spiritual nature. But this belief is merely an idea, one that invites us to confront our dualistic relationship with all that is, so that we can align with the totality of our true nature. Each time these beliefs surface and beg for our attention, they invite us to value the potent catalysts of contrast, hardship, and challenge, tools that drive our expansion and ground our understanding deeply into awareness. These aspects call us back into oneness through the acceptance of duality. Separation guides us back to wholeness, and wholeness encourages us to cherish the individual expression of all. You are the God within your own reality. However, the God that you are is not separate from the God that exists within each other living being. You are a fractal of Source, a unique yet inseparable part of the whole. As a fractal, you do not embody the entirety of the whole, but you personify its essence through your individuated expression. This means the expression of you is unique, but the energetic nature of you is universal. Unconditional love and acceptance represents the integration of this awareness into your relationship with yourself and all others, distinct yet interconnected manifestations of the same divine essence. Despite the wisdom and understanding I have gained and continue to grow through, I still forget this truth at times. Again and again, I am reminded of the perfection, love, support, and encouragement that flow from the energy that created you, me, our world, and everything within it. This is my art of devotion. Each chapter makes me feel more and more revealed to the listener as an individual. When I was writing this book, my editor said, "You have so many beautiful concepts in there. Just make sure you include a little bit of yourself on each page as well." And so when I went through and did the final pass of editing, I kept that sentence that she said in mind, to have a bit of myself on each page, which is why I speak much more frequently in the context of I as opposed to you. And when I'm not talking about the context of I'm often talking about the context of we, because it resonates so deeply with me to not project onto you who you are or how you should be, but to invite resonance and connection through the sharings in these pages, the reflections that are being offered, and the connection that we have as human beings. There's far more similarities between us than differences. And it reminds me of how close our DNA is to, like, gorillas, for example. To be such dynamic, different beings, and yet to have 99% or somewhere around there similar DNA structure. It just goes to show how important that 1% of deviation is, of uniqueness, and how profound a gift it is for our own specific design to be expressed in this world. So, on that note, let's go ahead and jump into chapter 22's reflection and workbook content. I think it's really important. This chapter ultimately is about finding the similarities between the people that you gravitate towards or feel drawn to, their content, their sharings, their experiences, their insights, their guidance, instead of creating a state of separation or hierarchy between them and you. Because in this chapter, I reveal that I haven't got it all figured out. And I think there is this innate natural tendency that we have as humans to think that other people have more knowledge than we do, are more enlightened than we are more wise, skilled, successful, fill in the blank. So, the underlying theme of this chapter is to connect in our path of continued growth, in our process of continuous expansion. And the reflection for this chapter is an offering of humility, a reminder that awakening is not a permanent state of perfection, but a dynamic spectrum of remembering and forgetting, which we are all doing. You may experience profound alignment one day and wrestle with doubt the next. Both are sacred and both are common, even among the people that would be quote unquote influencers or experts or authority figures. They also are still figuring it out. And that's something really important for us to remember, because it's so much easier to connect and become vulnerable and open with others when you understand that they are grappling with their own process of evolution just like the rest of us. Self-realization does not eliminate self-judgment overnight. It reveals it. It softens it. It invites you to love even the parts that still struggle within you and in those people that you interact with. The true embodiment of the all-inclusive approach is not flawless peace. It is radical compassion for yourself across the entire spectrum of your experience. You are not failing when you doubt. You are integrating, expanding, developing, reflecting, contemplating. You're understanding. The journal prompts for this chapter are: 1. On my most aligned days, I notice that I feel, think, and act in these ways. Again, I want to preface this by saying this isn't like another trick or life hack to figure out a way to only have aligned days. It's more of an exploratory process of self-discovery. Number 2, when I slip into self-judgment or doubt, the story I tend to tell myself is fill in the blank. When we're approaching ourselves with a state of curiosity instead of a need to correct, which it makes sense that we approach ourselves that way, it's often how we're treated as children. But when it's curious, when there is an interest in how you are the way that you are, what is the catalyst? What are the prompts? How you move into this way of being, how you navigate into that way of being, then it becomes an explorative approach. And there's so much more gentleness and ease in that way of doing it. Number 3, the parts of me I find hardest to love are fill in the blank. What might these parts actually need from me? Number 4, if I fully accepted that growth and wholeness can coexist, how would I treat myself differently? And this integrated approach can be really valuable for living a more cyclical life instead of a linear life. A cyclical life allows space for you to revisit life themes again and again that you think maybe you have already come to completion on, and then you advance, you grow, you evolve, you develop, and then you experience that life theme again from a different vantage point. You're moving up on the spiral. And then number 5, what would radical self-compassion look like in my life this week? And I say this week because let's make it tangible. Ask yourself and put some parameters and context around the question. What would radical self-compassion look like in my life this week with the things that I'm experiencing right now, not my future self, my present self? The exercise for chapter 22 is called the compassion integration practice. And you're going to start by finding a quiet place, then sit comfortably and place one hand over your heart and one hand over your abdomen. Take 5 slow breaths and then gently bring to mind a version of you that feels confident, grounded, trusting, peaceful, open, receptive, wise. Now let yourself feel a version of you that feels insecure, reactive, doubtful, suspicious, vulnerable, fearful, inferior. Instead of trying to fix or make adjustments to either one, simply imagine them sitting beside one another. Imagine them as companions. See them breathing together. And then allow them to merge with love, care, appreciation, and acknowledgement of one another's strengths and weaknesses. Whisper internally, all of me belongs. I am allowed to grow and still be whole. Nothing within me is unworthy of love. This exercise kind of reminds me, if you've ever seen that movie Inside Out, where there's all of the different personality types within one person: sadness, joy, um, disgust. It's kind of like that, understanding that there is value in all aspects of self, that we don't want to be just one thing all the time. And the reason we don't want to be just one thing all the time is because Source, consciousness, the infinite intelligence that has created and is everything existing, has an eternal nature. So, what would eternity feel like if you were only joyful all the time? Similarly, what would an eternity feel like if you were only sad all the time? That there weren't arcs of expansion and growth and experience, if there wasn't variety and nuance. This is what the value of diversity offers, and not just internally, collectively as well. The quote for contemplation in this chapter is, I am allowed to be both growing and already whole. And that is a quote from this chapter of my book. I hope you enjoyed this contemplation and discussion. This is one of my favorite chapters, and we're really getting into some of my most cherished sharings in these later chapters of the book. A lot of the beginning of the book is kind of creating a solid foundation for self-inquiry and self-acceptance. Many of these chapters in the later part of the book are revealings from me to you. I mean, I can say that kind of all of this book feels like that, but there are certain ones that feel like that even more, and this is one of them. So, feel free to leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. These chapters are going to be available for free on YouTube until I've completed the recording process for all of the chapters. So I really hope that people who are resonating with this information are taking full advantage of the access that is being provided now and sharing it with others who they care about and would feel might benefit from the content. Until we meet again, be well and enjoy the now.